Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grandstand Sports Data. In today's video, we're going to be giving you the 2025 NBA Free Agency Tracker. Stay tuned as we will be taking a look at the most recent NBA moves and news that has gone down over the last few days. Also, we'll be taking a look at the end of the video at what moves have actually mattered because we will be giving you the futures on who will win the NBA title and the teams with their respective odds. So let's get right into the video. All right, so let's dive into about the middle of the board. This is about players 16 through 30. And just to give you a little bit of a quick refresher, you're going to see a couple of player quality measurements here. Average is going to be the first one. This is the win shares per 48. And it's just their weighted average with the most weight going to last year, the second most weight going to the year before, and then the third most weight going to the third year. And that's it. That's where we cut it off, the last 3 years. So just to give you a measurement there. The next measurement is going to be just NBA 2K player rating. That's going to be in this tier column. And it's just two good measurements that you could go by. This is how I like to kind of define them, is that one is telling you the performance on the court, while one is telling you their talent on paper. And I like to just mix the two and then also look at the contracts and the numbers, and that will show you the type of player he is and what he should get paid and where he, you know, it tells you a lot just from looking at it and analyzing the board. So let's move on to some of the guys here. As you can see, we're going to start down at the bottom. That's where ranked 30th. Guys like Jonas Valanciunas, he's been traded. He's been traded to the Denver Nuggets. I believe this is going to be a good, I would say, perspective for Jokic because he's probably going to get more rest now that Valanciunas can go in and then give you some of that production. I think that was one of the biggest flaws for Denver is that when Jokic is out, who's there to give you that production? Moving on, we're going to move on to a guy like Jabari Smith. Jabari Smith, he re-signed with Houston 5 years, 24.4 million. That is per year. So when you see our number, it's going to be per year. So just a reminder for that. Nas Reed re-signing with Minnesota, 5 years, 25 million per. Next is Jordan Poole. He's one of the poor performers here throughout this whole video, I guess you could say, with a .032 in terms of his weighted win share per 48 average. Not too good. He's been traded to the New Orleans Pelicans. Next is going to be a guy like Dylan Brooks. He's obviously involved in that trade that we will talk about a little bit later when we're talking about, some of the top guys like Kevin Durant. So he's been traded to the Phoenix Suns. Colin Sexton traded to the Charlotte Hornets. Bobby Portis re-signing with the Milwaukee Bucks. It was a little bit of a surprise to me, but now that they have signed, who we're going to talk about in just a few moments, it kind of makes sense now. They want to have that veteran presence. I love Bobby Portis. If I had a team, that guy could play for my team any day of the week. I just love it. And I'm not saying that he's like a top 3 player or that he's just a really good role player who has all the qualities that I'm looking for, right? Toughness, gritty, gets into the dirty area. That's the type of guys that I love on my basketball team. Next is going to be a guy like Michael Porter Jr. He's actually been traded to the Brooklyn Nets. Brook Lopez is going to be next after him. He's been signed for 2 years, 9 million per. That's not too bad for the Clippers, but I think Brook Lopez is a little bit older now on that older side, and the Clippers really haven't been moving the needle. Can they really get over the hump? Can James Harden get over the hump? These have been questions that have yet to be answered after years and years and years. Ty Jerome, he actually had a pretty good year with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Memphis kind of seen some value out of him, right? Gave him 3 years, 9 per, a little bit over 9 per. Good for him. Next is Daniel Gafford. He's probably the best here when you're talking about just win shares per 48 with a .214. You can see he got extended for 3 years and 20 million per. Daniel Gafford, best here in terms of from 16 to 30. Next is going to be a guy like Cam Thomas. He has been traded to the Denver Nuggets. Good trade for him going from Brooklyn to Denver. CJ McCollum, he's going to Washington. So he's actually going backwards as well. I think him and Jordan Poole, almost relatively the same player when you're talking about just their style of play. And then you're talking about the performance on the court as well. Well, one has a win share of .074, the other one has a .032. So they haven't necessarily been producing, probably on the down end of their careers. And people are going to say, Jordan Poole, down end of his career, he's still young. Well, it seems like he's given us the most that he's been able to give us so far. Last is going to be Miles Turner, and this was breaking news as of today. He jumped in 4 years, 26 per, a little bit almost closer to 27 per for the Milwaukee Bucks. So not returning to the Indiana Pacers, actually going to a division rival with Milwaukee. I mean, solid floor spacer, shot blocker. I guess you could say he's nothing really flashy, but he's really, really good. The bottom line here is that this tier the league sweet spot for either building depth or torching cap space. But for smart bettors, we need to track these moves because every mid-tier signing quietly shifts future markets before the public even notices. And that's the reason why we need to cover 16 through 30. Now let's move on to the top 15 players that were available. That's how we want to classify it, available instead of a free agent. Okay, so let's jump into the top 15. As you can see, all the way from down from the bottom, you can see Quentin Grimes, Philadelphia. He's a restricted free agent, not necessarily the best win share per 48 when you're talking about an average. He's looking at wanting 25 million. Some people are saying he might not be worth it. You can see John Collins got 26.5 million with Utah. He basically had the same production, slightly better, but in terms of just on paper, about the same rating. And then Josh Giddey, who had just a slightly better win share per 48 than John Collins and is a restricted free agent with the same on paper rating, is looking to make 30 million. So that kind of makes sense in my eyes. 30 million here for Giddey, 26 and a half for Collins, and then 25 for Quentin Grimes. I don't think what Grimes is asking for is outlandish at all. We'll see if he gets it, though. Drew Holiday, he was traded to the Portland Trailblazers. I don't really understand the backing behind that on the Portland side. I do understand the Boston side. Boston's they're dropping money. They're basically they're I want to say that they're revamping everything except for Tatum, Brown, and White. I think those are the guys that they're going to keep, and that's about it. Everybody else is a yard sale, which I think is the correct move. All those people saying that they should have traded Jaylen Brown, I think it's pretty obvious that Jason Tatum proved that he can't win without Jaylen Brown. So I wouldn't have got rid of Jaylen Brown. You need those two. The Celtics are a better team with those two. So I think that they made this. Brad Stevens made the smart move in keeping those two guys. Now, moving on, Jalen Green, he has been traded to the Phoenix Suns. Uh, Not the best win share. I would say the worst one out of the top 15. 86 rating, but Jalen Green to the Phoenix Suns, I don't know if that really moves the meter when they got guys like Beal and Booker who are very similar playing styles, very similar positions. But good luck to them. Minnesota next with the re-signing of Julius Randle. Not too bad there. He didn't do that great in the tail end of that playoff run, but it is what it is. Desmond Bain, he was traded a little bit earlier before free agency to Orlando. Next is going to be Porzingis, and this is another salary dump for the Boston Celtics. Porzingis is going to the Atlanta Hawks via trade. This basically opened the door for Capella to leave. Next is going to be Jackson from Memphis. He has resigned, and then not only did he, after he resigned for the 48 million per on a 5-year deal, now he's actually going into surgery, fixing up. I want to say it's a leg that he's fixing up. So uh, don't quote me on that. I just don't remember. I mean, come on, we've been scouting like 40 something guys talking about basketball, hockey, and so it gets a little crazy. But I believe Jackson. I believe it was a leg, but don't quote me on that. James Harden's next. Um, there's nothing really more to say about Harden, is there? I mean, first round, second round exit, re-signed with the Clippers. Yep, yep, yep. Next is Damian Lillard, Milwaukee Bucks. He has been released. He has been released by the Milwaukee Bucks. It's a clear up space, 4 miles. So there it is. I mean, Damian Lillard's going to be one of the best free agents on the market when he becomes available. I say when he becomes available because remember, he's rehabbing a leg. He has that Achilles or ACL, I forget which one it was, but he is rehabbing. So once he gets back, that's when teams may throw their hat into the dance. Next is going to be Kyrie Irving. Dallas Mavericks re-signing him 3 years, very close to 40 million per. Next is going to be the super sexy one that everyone's been talking about. It's Kevin Durant being traded to the Houston Rockets. I will say when you look at Kevin Durant's win shares per 48 over the last 3 years, it's not as good as most of these guys that you can see here, which is not the greatest. I mean, you got to go as far down as Jackson in terms of him having a better win share per 48. And then even below that, you want to go to even Desmond Bain, which is very comparable. I mean, very comparable. And that's not necessarily a good thing. I don't ever want to put Kevin Durant's name in the same bracket as Desmond Bain. No disrespect to Desmond Bain. I mean, come on. What are we talking about, people? But Kevin Durant, maybe he's coming to that, the I guess the sunset of his career, but I don't know. I think that he's going to make the Rockets better no matter how you look at it. He may not be who he once was, but the Rockets will be a better basketball team. LeBron James exercising that player option, very close to 53 million for this year coming up. SGA, he has re-signed for 4 years, 71.25 million per year. You could see just from his win shares per 48, the guy deserves it. Hoisting the title, guy deserves it. But I'll touch on OKC going forward, but we're gonna move on to some of the odds and what these moves have these moves made a difference. Is basically what we're trying to ask. And that's what we're gonna see moving on to the odds page. Did OKC do enough to stay on top? Did the Lakers move the needle? Did the Rockets do enough to move the needle? We'll see that in the next few seconds. All right, so let's zoom out and connect the dots here. So these are your updated NBA Finals odds as of July 1st. OKC sitting comfy right at that plus 275, and after locking up Shea on that 4-year deal with the elite production, market's not dumb, right? They're the favorite for a reason. Denver Nuggets at plus 600 is coming in next, right? An efficient roster, but you saw the trade pieces still floating. They got Cam Thomas, they got Valanciunas, so they're shaking up that roster, and those odds are starting to move. Now, coming in at third is the Houston Rockets at plus 800, right? KD lands there, title odds improve, but the rest of the roster, some people are saying still a project. I think they're ready. I think they're pretty good. There are some young players, but they look pretty good. Now we're going to move on to Cleveland, the Knicks, and the Magic. They're in that 850 to about 1200 range, all respectable, but no clear superstar swing moves just yet. And you do want to touch on those three teams are in the Eastern Conference, a very, very weak Eastern Conference this year. No Tatum. Boston is saying they want him back by the end of March, or they hope that he's back by the end of March. If that's the case, I don't know why Boston's not on this list. Because if Tatum can somehow be relatively healthy, that East is so weak that you may be able to get some decent value on a Boston Celtics getting to the finals, not winning it, but maybe getting to the finals, because that East is so weak, as I mentioned. East is so weak that down at the bottom, that's right, your eyes are not fooling you. That is the Atlanta Hawks as a top 10 team, just according to the betting odds. They're a plus 2,500. They're the top. They're in the top. That is crazy to me that they're in the top 10. I just I think that the Celtics without Tatum are better than the Hawks. The I was going to even go out on a limb and say Indiana without Halep, but not anymore because Miles Turner's moved on. So I don't want to get too crazy. But Boston and what they have, they can compete with Atlanta. I mean, come on now. Now, let's pick up where we left off, though. I'm going to go back to the Lakers at plus 1,600, basically betting on LeBron and Luka. You're hoping that they're going to do that one last hurrah. Looks like LeBron maybe in his last year, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Minnesota plus 1,800. They added Julius Randle, still got Anthony Edwards doing his thing. And then we're going to finish off, obviously, Clippers Atlanta. Translation basically is that the front offices are making moves, but the market is saying good luck to some of those teams down at the bottom, like the Clippers and the Hawks. But the bottom line here is that player movement drives the board, right? Sharp betters, we need to track those signings, those trades, even restricted free agent rumors, because that's where the edges start to show up before the books even adjust to it. So these odds ain't static. You need to remember that. You need to keep your eye on the transaction wire, or you're going to be left behind. You need to stay tuned for a few more pins to drop. I think Boston might not be done unloading some contracts. They're still, I want to say, in that first apron, so they're going to need to probably sell off maybe one or two more pieces. Um, I still wouldn't write them off. I would say that this is going to be a great year to handicap the Eastern Conference. I'm sorry, I think we saw it last year. Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't give a shit who they get. I don't believe in them. I'm not going to believe in them. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. So just from the odds board here and looking at who's going to come out of the East, you're looking at either the Knicks or the Magic. I'm writing off the Cavs altogether. All right, we'd like to thank you guys for tuning in to this update of the NBA offseason. We hope you had a great time and picked up some awesome information. But don't forget to subscribe to Grandstand Sports Data for more great shows like this one. Also, don't forget to give this video a like, share with your friends, and leave a comment down below. That's all for now, and we'll see you in the next one.